with the fact that it chained on miss
Mhm.
specifically because it only chained into the chain zone.
Right.
And even though it's armored, you could always dodge attack and get into it and deal damage.
Mhm.
So we're like, okay, it's okay. But then a lot of expectations from players were, and rightfully so, right? You're doing this move. When it does land, you get 30 damage,
It's a
right?
lot.
So
Yeah.
the risk reward proposition here was so heavily skewed into Yorm's favor that it kind of didn't really make a lot of sense. And so, yeah, it feels good when you're doing it,
Mhm.
but it needed to be toned down a little bit so that we're like, okay, we're in a good position. We have, like, it's a lot more balanced. And we also felt that we're like, okay, well, it's in chains. It's not the easiest bash to access. It's not, but at the end of the day, looking at the data, looking at player feedback, where all that went, we decided to make a change. So for first, yeah, is Jordan Farewell and no longer chains on miss, which means that if you correctly read that Yorm is going to do that move and you dodge, you get a guard break. Now, this might feel like a massive nerf, but let me tell you something.
Tell me.
If you're trying to do side dodge into guard break, you leave yourself vulnerable to feint into guard break from Yorm. So you still have to make that choice. It's still risky.
Mm.
And it's still riskier for the opponent, right? There's still a bit more risk for the opponents. But if there's a correct read, then they can actually get a guard break and deal 24 damage to you. So it's kind of like on average. So that's kind of like the idea here, right? So because it's feintable, because there's all these things going on, it's okay. And then before, because you could zone afterwards, you couldn't really ever do, like, say, dodge into guard break, unless you did like a super crazy early dodge and it was like really really particular. So in this case, like with this, it's more balanced. And on top of this, Hammer Slam now deals 26 damage, down from 30. So in this case, it's if Yorm gets the correct read, lands the bash, he gets 26 damage. If your opponent gets the correct read, they get either a dodge attack or potentially a guard break into generally 24. So the risk reward proposition here is a lot different. It's less skewed toward Yorm. Typically, we've been doing a lot of stuff where aggression is very, very, very heavily rewarded. And so this is a bit of a nerf in this case. Should feel a bit better to play against. We've seen a lot of comments, a lot of feedback about this, so we're hoping that this is going to help there quite a bit.
Right. So yeah, less skewed kind of feels like more balanced.
Yeah,
so
right. Exactly.
It's interesting. Interesting. Okay.
Just need more balance. All right.
Just a little.
Okay. Next up, we have Scent. So we're aware. I'm just gonna start that there's a problem with tracking on Centurion when you do a light into a fully charged jab, and then you can sometimes like double dodge it or like all sorts of stuff. And if the answer was as simple as when somebody on the team, including me, clicking something and it worked, we would have done it. Unfortunately, it's a tricky proposition. The way the move is built is different from other chargeable bashes. And because of that, it's a lot trickier. We're going to require animation. We're going to require a lot of different things to really flesh it out properly. So it's taking a bit more time than we wanted to fix it. So that's, I just want to make sure that I get it clear for players. It's not that we're not aware. It's not that we don't want to fix it. It's that it's more complex than we anticipated initially. We did a change before that helped, but it doesn't fix the entire problem. So that's what we're going at. But today on Scent, what we're doing is we gave uninterruptible stance on charge jab 100 ms earlier.
Nice.
Now you might be going, what does that change, right? Well, it does change something quite a bit, actually, which is Centurion, like other heroes, when you did a light attack into a charged jab, that's the case when you took here, for example, you could get lighted out of the charged jab, right? Because the armor...
You get lighted out as unblockable.
At 200 ms. Now that it kicks in at 100, if you go light into fully charged jab, your opponent just cannot light you out of it ever. So they actually do have to respect what you're going to be doing a little bit better. It's still commit full. You still have to commit to the attack. You still have to get into it. But at least you're a bit safer when you do it, which is a big part of what we're doing here for Scent. It makes a lot of sense as we go towards and getting the rest of the heroes' issues in order. So that's like it's a bit of a quality of life, but it also makes a big difference because now it's a lot safer to throw out lights and go into jab afterwards.
Nice. So respect the Scent now.
Exactly.
All right.
And then last but not least, Nusha. So
it's my girl.
Right, it's your girl, right?
I love her so much.
So Nusha, we had we're I'm gonna say we're gonna nerf Caltrops.
Oh no.
So for a long time,
yeah, dude, Caltrops are so annoying.
Was not super viable in Dominion.
Yeah.
Like in game modes where you can use feats. She's a very very 1v1 centered hero. We've done some buffs to her so that like she has better trajectories on her heavies and stuff. So you can like
Yeah.
defend yourself.
You
maybe a
put
little
them in
bit
their
on
spawn, the
sides.
minions.
Externally, that's great.
It's a good
But
second
at the same
feat.
time, once we got her traps fixed,
Mhm.
all of a sudden she's way stronger in 1v1, right?
I have noticed.
And
yes.
it's an interesting thing because those traps are like the better player you're facing, the stronger they are.
Mm.
Because better players tend to make correct reactions to everything, and she's built to defeat correct reactions. So that's kind of like that was like a big part of how we built Nusha back in the
Yeah.
day. So that works well. But because she works so much better, Caltrops, which was I'm not biased or anything, but I think it was by far the best feat in the game. It beats out Corruption even as a tier 1, beats out Fire Flask, beats out like Spear Storm, like all sorts of crazy feats. This beat them. Partially, pretty much because the cooldown on it was extremely short,
yeah.
and the uptime was also extremely long, right? So 25 seconds uptime, 45 seconds cooldown, which meant that you had a downtime in between feed casts of 20 seconds.
Right.
Which means that Nusha could go into the lane
Mhm.
and just drop Caltrops, destroy the entire lane, wait 20 seconds, drop and in those 20 seconds, more minions came,
Mhm.
dropped Caltrops again, cleared out the whole lane again, right?
Listen,
So she was a monster, but
I was,
she was,
I was
sorry.
kind of hoping you didn't notice my strategy, but now here we are.
That's how it goes.
Oh no.
But the problem is that when the character was not really picked, it still is a problem,
Yeah.
right? There's no question that it wasn't a problem, but it wasn't as high on our priority list because the hero was underperforming herself. So we wanted to make sure that we buffed her up before we ended up nerfing some of the more like unhealthy parts of her kit. So with this, we've nerfed Caltrops significantly, but you'll see how it works. So basically now her cooldown for Caltrop is 90 seconds, so it's instead of 45, so it's doubled. We doubled the cooldown, and it's now active for 15 seconds instead of 25. You can still go into the lane and drop it. We haven't touched the damage. We haven't touched the radius. We haven't touched like any of those other parts of the feat. We really just worked on her cooldown and how long it's active for. So this way, you can still go use it like you were using it before. You just can't use it as often as you did before.
Okay. You're tough but fair.
I'm tough but
You're
fair.
tough
right?
but
that's,
fair. All right,
That's how it
see
goes.
this.
We're trying to like really make sure that this is more balanced.
Yeah.
It's been a comment we've been hearing from a lot of pro players
Right.
for a
Right.
long
It's true.
time.
It's true.
And I remember we have some discussions like ongoing with some players, and when we did the Nusha testing grounds with the improved traps,
Peacekeeper. And
first-
again, just to recap, Hero
number one-
Fests, for those of you who may have forgotten, you get to try the hero for free. They're 33.3 repeating, of course, percent
course.
off. No, 30% off. I'm just kidding. It depends on. I think some of them are 33 actually. And then if you log in, you get 2 free symbols.
That's always
So
good.
Bump up your symbols game. And then we've got Raider Legendary.
Ah, so good.
And last but not least,
Oh.
Magi.
It's a new guy.
Yeah.
Outlander Hero
Yeah.
Fest. It's happening.
Yeah. I can't wait to see Magi's unique that comes with that. How you gonna slay?
I've seen it. It's cool. I
Which is
won't
great,
spoil it.
because
but-
just the other day I
cool.
saw somebody saying Magi needs more execution. So there you go.
So to that one person, we heard you, I guess, and you're welcome. So there's that. Yeah.
Yep.
Just same wavelength.
Yeah. And then we got some content of the week.
Yes.
So we've got an execution, Chimera's Retribution.
Right, because it's Griffin's Hero Fest today, right?
That's
yeah.
sick.
That's why he gets
Yeah,
to.
I'll choose to believe you on that.
Yeah. And then also starting next week with the launch of the season, July 27th, new Lustrous outfit, Majestic Jungle. And there's nothing more majestic than that kitty cat. It's really cute. I want to pet it. So that'll be available for 20K still. And also a new execution, the Blow Dart Barrage.
So those of you in chat who are like, I saw a blow dart in the trailer. Yeah, we
Right
didn't
there.
forget about it.
That could
Three
be
darts.
his execution.